Crimson Trace now offers a complete line of electronic sights, ranging from a fixed magnification battle sight to reflex sights with the latest power management features. Purpose-built and versatile. Find yours at crimsontrace.com.
He rode out of Louisiana territory, and with his gun slung low and his microphone held high, he brought truth to a savage land. And the legend grew. Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
Yeehaw! Tom Gresham here. It's Gun Talk. If you'd like to join us, 866-TALK-GUN. Okay, way back, I'm talking decades ago, when I read, first time I read, because I've read it several times, Point of Impact by Stephen Hunter. I was hooked when he's talking about the information about the failures of the early generation of the silver tip bullets in handgun ammunition. I'm thinking, yes, but how many of us actually know about that? I said, okay, this guy gets it. And now he's got a brand new book out. Joining us right now, Pulitzer Prize winners and author of Game of Snipers, Stephen Hunter. Stephen, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, Tom, and I'm very pleased to be chatting with you.
It is always fun. We never have enough time. I finished reading Game of Snipers. It is a new Bob Lee Swagger novel. And I do have to say, I sent you a note, right in the early part of it, it's like the location is in Cascade, Idaho, and I'm just laughing my head off because that's where I was sitting when I was reading it. So that's where my little cabin is.
Terrific.
I've got a cabin in Cascade, Idaho. So how did you pick Cascade? Have you been there, or was it just random?
I have been to Idaho. I picked Cascade because I don't think I've been to Cascade. If I do, I don't remember. But I pick things on the sound of the word. And if it's pleasant and I think it will last in a reader's mind, yep. And it's no art to it. It's just dumb, simple luck.
Oh, says the Pulitzer Prize winner. Yeah, there's no art to this. I just kind of fling words together and see if it works. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. You are a masterful storyteller. And I was having so much fun. I was reading Jack Carr last week. And in the acknowledgments there, he mentions you. So we've got this, new generation coming behind you who are writing, basically a lot of the same kinds of stories, the same genre. And they're looking to you as the guy who basically established this whole thing, which is where you have things that are ballistically correct. And you've always made that kind of a big part of your writing, I think.
Absolutely. In fact, I met Jack last week on book tour. I met him in Arizona. He's a very, very decent young guy, and I understand that his books are, particularly this one, it was terrific. So if you can't buy me, buy Jack, and you'll have a great time. Yes, I guess I did. I mean, I didn't think I was doing anything radical, but one of the things that moved me to want to do this kind of work was there was so much garbage on TV and in books and in the movies, and it was clearly that people who were writing about guns and framing the discussions about guns did not know diddly. And right. One of the things I tried to do was I saw myself, this sounds pretentious, but I saw myself as an ambassador. And I wanted to prove to those not in gun culture that gun culture was capable of providing great stories, wit, entertainment, irony, political awareness, incredibly fast-moving plots, and getting all the tech stuff right. And that was one of my goals from the beginning. And the coming of my children, as it were, Jack being just one of several other guys
right.
who've taken up the mantle. That's very pleasing and satisfying to me.
Well, to your point, when you look back, and Point of Impact was what, 30, maybe as many as 40 years ago. I mean, it's way back. Point of Impact came out.
I think there were dinosaurs stalking the parking lots in those days.
But think of where we were then, where we had the gunfights on TV with the never running out of ammo, and the fake recoil, and just basically everything was wrong. And then you come along with this well-researched, believable book it's ballistically correct. It talks about the Winchester Model 70. And, of course, as you've gone along, it's even gotten better. You really research your stuff. I'm just going to tell you right now, I think you're responsible for a lot of the change because now we see gun handling is much better in movies. The descriptions of guns are better and more accurate. And I track it all the way back to your first book and all the work that you've done over your 20 novels.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. It's really not for me to say. What I remember about the late 80s, and particularly the early 90s when I was writing Point of Impact, it was also the height of Bill Clinton's anti-gun craziness, and it was in that period of time when all the liberals and all the anti-gun people portrayed, owned the media, inflamed the discussion, and defined gun people as sullen, surly, drunken hillbillies living alone by themselves in the mountains. And one of the things I wanted to do was write a book about a sullen, surly, drunken hillbilly living alone in the mountains who was also the smartest, the bravest, the toughest, the most resilient, and the most creative of anybody, and show that all those stereotypes, and it show that shooters not only were human, but in many cases fine and heroic and believable humans. And that was part of the mission that got me off the sofa and to the keyboard every day.
Well, you know, there's another part of that, which is the business side of it, which is convincing publishers that, oh, yes, by the way, people in the gun culture can actually read, and they will actually buy books.
That's an excellent point. And that, again, I mean, I'm the only, I went through New York, and I think while there were regional and small publishers who were servicing the market, I was the first guy, I say this with some pride, to reach the mainstream audience and the mainstream firearms audience through the vessel of the New York publisher. And I had to be, I mean, what I was trying to be was good enough to publish without the gun stuff, but also getting the gun stuff right. And that was, again, that was the goal. That's what I tried to do. Not up to me to say whether I made it or not, but it sure has been a fun 40 years.
Sometimes it takes that totality of circumstance. It doesn't hurt when you walk in there with your manuscript, and oh yeah, by the way, you also work for the Washington Post, so they can't really ignore you or diminish you at that point. They have to listen.
Well, my theory of getting published was, newspapers don't nearly have the identity or the influence or the reputation today that they had then. But my theory way back then to get published was distinguish myself on a newspaper, and from that position, I thought I could move laterally into publishing in New York. And that's exactly what happened. People ask me all the time, how can I get published? And I said, I can give you very explicit instructions. You can do everything I can say with one exception, and that is you probably can't turn the clock back to 1977. But that's, you know, in 1977, the newspaper had the power to, and the reputation to get you noticed, where it seems not to be true anymore. And how you do it today is something I'm not really all that aware of.
All right. So, I mean, so many of us, millions of us, love the Bob Lee Swagger franchise. And in this latest one, Game of Snipers, Bob Lee is 72, I think. How much longer can he keep going?
Well, I have one more for him, and he doesn't do anything except sit behind a desk in a wheelchair. Well, that's not quite true. Then, towards the end, he gets kind of, shall we say, antsy, and he does some stuff then. And I think, I mean, the calculation behind the book is we've seen him in this wheelchair, and everybody thinks he's crippled and he's abused and degraded, and everybody smacks him around and thinks he's finished. And then there comes the moment when he leaves the wheelchair. And that's, I think, the moment that people will remember as long as they live. I hope. It should be a great moment.
Well, I can't wait when Bob the Nailer comes back.
I don't know what's going to happen after that. There's been some thought of, they would like me to do a Bob Lee Swagger in which Bob was 35. But I can't even remember what 35 looks like, much less feels like.
Well, Stephen Hunter, I love your books. I appreciate what you have done for the culture. And you've been there. I mean, I know you weren't doing it for us, but you were actually, in fact, doing it for us. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for your interest, Tom.
Absolutely. Stephen Hunter, author of the brand new book, Game of Snipers. It's really good. Let me just tell you, you'll enjoy it. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. We're open lines. Looking for your range reports. And when we come back, I'll tell you about, couldn't stand it. Had to buy some guns this week.
It's back. The Smith & Wesson 10mm revolver. Yes, the Model 610 is back in 4 and 6.5-inch barrels. 6-shot moon clips full of powerful 10mm rounds. Plus, you can shoot 40 S&W ammo in it too. Stainless steel, black synthetic finger groove grips, interchangeable front sight with an adjustable rear sight. Take it to 10 with the Model 610 revolver. Visit smith-wesson.com.
This is Ryan Gresham with Gun Talk. Visit guntalk.com/win to enter our latest giveaway. This month, enter to win with Surefire. One person will win Surefire's X300U handgun light, featuring a stunning 1,000 lumens. And 2 folks will win Surefire Stiletto rechargeable pocket flashlight. Enter now through August 30th at guntalk.com/win. That's guntalk.com/win.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
The next big thing for the AR-15 has arrived. The Brownells Brn 180 Upper, a modernized version of the Armalite AR-180, featuring a 16-inch barrel, a 223 wild chamber, and a full-length pick rail. The Brn 180 skips the buffer system to allow complete function of the firearm with the stock folded or extended. Best of all, the Brownells Brn 180 mounts to any mil-spec AR lower. Visit brownells.com today.
Back with you. I'll tell you in just a minute about the one rifle I bought this week I had planned to buy. The other one I had absolutely no thought of whatsoever. It's just like, ooh, what's that, a chicken? I had to get it. I'll tell you about that in a minute. First, let's talk with Bill. He's on one out of Billings, Montana. Bill, red flag laws. Talk to me, man.
Okay, Tom. They tried to get it here in Montana, and we defeated it, and the organization was the Montana Shooting Sports, and a bunch of us writing letters and everything. But my question to you is, a friend of mine in Washington State had his gun confiscated and his concealed permit, and Washington has a red flag law. I belong to the GOA. I do not belong to the NRA. And I just got a message last night from Teresa from Gunpowder Magazine that she said Trump is now for the red flag law. But my question to you is, why hasn't the GOA and the NRA taken this red flag law to the Supreme Court and deem it unconstitutional? I see trouble brewing, Tom, with them trying to get our guns. I really do.
Well, yeah. For those who don't know, let me back up. And, Bill, you already know this, but red flag laws, that's kind of a general term for what they call them, extreme protection laws. Basically, somebody, it could be your neighbor, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a teacher, calls the police and makes a complaint about you and says you're making threats or you're dangerous or you're acting funny or whatever they want to say. And the police come to your house and they take all of your firearms. I mean, they come with their guns and they take your guns. They don't charge you with a crime. They don't do it. They just take your guns. And it's up to you to have to go to court and try to get your guns back after they have taken them.
So you're proven guilty instead of innocent till proven guilty with this law, Tom. That's why I think it's all unconstitutional And why won't someone take it to the Supreme Court?
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to talk to the folks at the Second Amendment Foundation because GOA, I mean, to be fair, I am not a huge fan. I'll just tell you. I don't see them filing lawsuits. Second Amendment Foundation has, I think, 30 lawsuits in the works right now. That's what they do. And they talk to really smart lawyers. And they may already have looked at that. I don't know. But I want to find out, okay, is this a possibility? Is this something that we can challenge on a legal standpoint? Would we have a chance? I mean, and you know the drill. Even if first you have to go in a state, and then you have to work your way up to the Supreme Court, and then they only take, 1 or 2% of the cases that are brought to them. So the chances of making it all the way to the Supreme Court are not big. But at the same time, I think if it's possible, if they say, we have a chance of winning this one, then it would be worthwhile. And I am right there with you.
I don't see why we wouldn't have a chance, Tom. I mean, it's any neighbor, he can dislike you in any way, shape, or form, and then the cops will come to your house and confiscate your weapons and ammunition without due process. I mean, I can't see why the Supreme Court wouldn't take it.
Well, I mean, the courts are goofy. We just had a case in California where a judge says, yes, we can still have the assault weapons ban because the AR-15, and this is the exact words, is virtually indistinguishable from an M16. And that's the decision of the court. The AR-15 is virtually indistinguishable from an M16. Well, I guess if you look at pictures of them, perhaps, but that's like saying, a NASCAR competition car is virtually indistinguishable from the Nova that I have in my driveway, so we should ban it because that car in my driveway can go 200 miles an hour. It's nuts. It's insane. But it's the kind of nonsense we have to fight all the time. So I don't know, but I'll certainly ask. I'll see what I can find out about it. I appreciate it, Bill. Thank you, sir. All right, guns. I had mentioned to you that I found this stunning .257 Weatherby Magnum. It's a Ruger number 1. It's the 1B, for those of you who know the models, that has a 28-inch barrel. This was a special done by Lipsy's, the distributor in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And it just has drop-dead gorgeous wood. And I was not looking for a .257 Weatherby at all. But when something's that pretty, you just go, I guess I will. And then I started doing my research, and I knew about that cartridge, but I really hadn't dug into it a lot. It's awesome. And yes, the barrel life is going to be shorter. I get that. I understand, because you're burning a coffee cup full of powder every time you pull the trigger. And you can't shoot it a lot at the range because the barrel's going to get too hot. Probably 3 shots, you got to put it away for 5 or 10 minutes because the barrel's just too hot. But, oh my gosh, that 80 grain Barnes TTSX bullet, the all copper bullet, out of that barrel, the 28-inch barrel, you're getting about 4,000 feet per second. Side end at 300 yards, it's 3.5 inches low at 400. So basically, you just hold on all the way out to 400 yards. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And then my buddy here in town texts me, I guess it was Tuesday night? Wednesday night. He says, hey, I'm going to put this thing up on Gunbroker. You have any interest in it? And sends me a picture. I went, oh, no. I'm looking at it right now. It's a Marlin 1895 4570. I already have one of those, but I don't have one like this because the barrel has been cut down to just a hair over 16 inches, and it has a Skinner sights on it and fiber optic front sight, and it's short. I mean, like short, probably, 34, 35 inches overall length. I haven't checked yet. And I went over, I said, well, I'll come over and look at it. Went over to his house, and it followed me home. So now I have these 2 new rifles, which is interesting. And then let me find this, because I want to make sure I get this right. I got to find the piece of paper here, just because I don't want to get the name wrong. I got a couple of lace-on cartridge holders, leather cartridge holders, for both of them, because you got a single shot in the Model 1. I think it's Frank's leather. I'll look it up here. There's just some place I found and started a conversation with the guy, and I got those, so I got to get those rigged up. Now I got to get a scope on the number one. I'm really struggling. I'm not sure. I'm typically a 3 to 9 power guy. But man, when you can shoot 400, 450 yards, thinking maybe a top power of 10. Several people said, well, get the 4.5 to 14 loophole. Well, that's certainly a possibility. Jim says, geek. Yes, of course I am. That's what I do. Also getting some ammo for the 257 with the 110 grain Nosler. And then I dropped a note to Jeff Hoffman over at Black Hills Ammo, and I said, I sure would like to try some of that Honey Badger ammo in the 4570. So we have some of that coming. So we're going to be doing a video with that ammo, which is really cool. Non-expanding, but deep penetrating and exit. I want to say it's 325 grain bullets. I think that's right. I'm hoping that with a lighter bullet like that, it will have just a little bit less recoil, because the 4570 has some push, and then you get it in that little bitty gun that's lightweight. And I know people are thinking, well, what are you going to do with that? I'm not sure. It's just cool. And I'm thinking probably truck gun, maybe, and I fly a little bush plane back in the backcountry. I think it'd probably go really well in a little case in the airplane, just be my airplane gun, because it doesn't occupy much space. But if you needed a gun that could actually do something serious, a 4570 will certainly do that. Haven't shot it yet, but I'm guessing, just going to guess now, that with just the iron sights on it, or the peep sight, I could probably get 4-inch groups at 100 yards with it. It does have a rail. I could always put a red dot on it, but I don't know. As effective as it is, it seems like that would just look goofy. Like, you don't put a red dot sight on John Wayne's gun. That's just wrong. Lever action. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? 866 Talk Gun. Would you put a red dot on a lever action? I mean, yeah, I know it works, but still. I'm Tom Gresham. This is Gun Talk.
Honey, does this holster make me look fat?
The right answers to the tough questions on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk.
Well, we try to take care of some of those questions here. I'm Tom Gresham. If you'd like to join us, 866 Talk Gun. If you don't like guns, welcome. If you think we ought to do something about gun violence, welcome. Call me. Let's talk about it. I'm open to ideas. If you have an idea of how we can do that specifically, I mean, you can't just say, oh, we have to do something. It's the running around in circles and screaming, we have to do something, do something. If you got an idea specifically, I will give you the floor. That number here is, well, just call me at Tom Talk Gun. It's easiest that way. Mike's called in from Missouri City, Texas, on 3. Hey, Mike, going hunting?
Yes, sir. Hoping to in the fall. Last week you were talking about the 308 cartridge and the AR platform. I was wondering if you might recommend a couple of manufacturers, 2 or 3, and also what length barrel would you be looking at for the best results?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's back up. Just for those who don't know, the 308 been around forever. In an AR platform, it would be an AR-10 platform instead of an AR-15. It's a little bit larger, but other than that, it looks just like a slightly overgrown AR-15. It's semi-automatic. Going way, way, way back, I killed my first deer at age 11 in 1962 with a 308 semi-automatic rifle. This was before there were ARs around. But it was a Winchester, but it's a semi-automatic, works the same as, what you're talking about. As for brand, it's tempting to say all ARs are the same. They're not quite, but if you buy from a reputable manufacturer, you're going to get a good product. So I'm going to spin the question around and point it back at you. Is there a particular gun maker that you really like, or that you have, some of their other guns that you're saying, yeah, I like those?
I don't have an AR at the moment. That'll be my first one.
No, I mean, any other bolt actions or anything else? Because, I mean, everybody's making them now.
I know. I really don't have any. Well, I got a 30-06 Winchester, but that's an old gun.
Sure.
But it's a fine gun.
Well, I would say
as far as rifles are concerned.
Yeah, I would say look around. Do you necessarily want it to be camouflage, or are you okay with it being black?
Black is fine.
Okay. Well, that opens the door to everything. All right. Let me just run through some options here. I would look on the basis of weight, because you can see as much as a 2-pound difference in some of the different AR-10 platforms. You want something that's a little bit lighter. Remington has a lightweight one. Ruger's are lightweight. The Saint from Springfield Armory is lightweight. SIG actually reduced the weight of their Model 716. Of course, I bought the early version, so mine's 2 pounds heavier. They got 2 pounds out of their later versions. The one thing I would tell you is buy quality, buy a known brand, because there's, who knows, 50 or 100 different outfits making these, putting their names on them, basically assembling them from parts. But I would look for a SIG, a Smith & Wesson, a Ruger, a Smith, somebody who that kind of deal. Now, let's talk barrel length for a second. For a 308, I would want something at least 18 inches, and probably somewhere between 18 and 22. And it doesn't really matter, honestly. And you don't need, I'm going to say this, unless you are thinking about putting a suppressor on. Do you think you might hunt with a suppressor?
Probably not.
Okay. Then a straight barrel without a
scope. I'm thinking about a scope, of course.
Yes,
needless to say.
You definitely want a flat top, and that way you can put a scope on it. Just got a Picatinny rail up on top; it'll work fine. I would say just a straight barrel, no flash suppressor, 18 to 22 inches, and remember to allow in your budget enough money to buy a good scope for it. And for deer hunting, it's kind of hard to beat that 3 to 9 range. 2 to 8, 3 to 9 variable range is kind of where I'd be. Are you going to be hunting him in Texas?
No, it's over in Alabama. My cousin's or nephew's got a lease, a big lease over there.
Do you have the option of fairly close shots?
The fields they have are probably set up about 300 yards maximum.
Okay.
It's in the woods up in North Alabama.
Right. Okay. You might consider something in like the 2 to 6 range or 2 to 8 range. I like something down around that 2 on the lower end. That way, if you're walking through the woods, you can keep it on that lowest power in case something jumps up in front of you. And then when you get up and stand or ready to go, you can always crank the magnification up. But just remember, when you get back down, keep it on the lowest power whenever you're walking around. That way you can make a quick shot if need to. But yeah, budget a little bit, for a good scope, because, you don't want to be, buy a nice $800 to $1,200 rifle and put a $150 scope on it. That would be silly.
What kind of dollar range are you looking at for a scope you're describing?
Probably $300. That's kind of my target. If you can get at $300, you can get a really good scope that'll last you, because the scope can ruin your hunt probably more often than your rifle will. Rifles just keep working. Cheap scopes tend to fail.
Right.
Oh yeah. By the way, I just mentioned. Don't forget, you got a lot of hogs there too. So that 308 would be perfect on hogs. Actually,
that's what I'd rather kill a bunch of hogs rather than. We went hunting last year, and my niece got my granddaughter, who was 9 years old at the time, got her first deer, and I had a couple of shots at different deers, but I was really looking for hogs. I want to get rid of some hogs.
Yep. And the 308 is good for that. Use good bullets, and you're good to go. But I would say, buy quality on the brand name on the rifle, 18 to 22 inches. Get something like a 3 to 9 variable scope. Budget about $300 plus, as much as you can go on scopes. Up to, honestly, the more you pay, generally, the better you get in quality. But at $300, you're into a good quality scope at that point. And then just buy lots of ammo and have fun, man.
Thank you very much, Tom. I really appreciate you and your show.
Appreciate it, Mike. Good hunting. 866-TALK-GUN. Are you thinking about buying something? Call me. I will absolutely give you permission. Not a problem.
Tactical professionals who put their lives on the line every day depend on Surefire. Since 1979, Surefire has designed, machined, and assembled the finest flashlights, weapon-mounted lights, hearing protection, and suppressors right here in the U.S. Surefire, offering a best-in-class warranty and customer service, and used by more military special operations, SWAT teams, and hard-use end users than any other brand. Surefire, American-built, American-strong. Visit Surefire.com. That's Surefire.com.
This land, once wild and free, fades now from our memory. But I remember what it was like, what we were like, what we are capable of when we band together. Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. These natural wonders are where waterfowl begin their cycle of life, where the deer and the antelope play, and where we, the people, gather together to see and share what makes the outdoors so great. The time is now to band together with organizations like Ducks Unlimited. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Are you tired of leather holsters not holding up to everyday carry, or having boxes of holsters for every gun? Try a holster from 1791 Gun Leather, offering multi-fit IWB and OWB options. Every holster is handcrafted from full grain, American heavy native steer hide. Order now and enjoy unmatched quality, versatility, and that pleasant leather aroma. For free shipping, visit 1791gunleather.com and add Gun Talk free ship at checkout.
I said I would dig this out. I did. Andy's Leather, andysleather.com. Pretty easy. I found Andy and Andy's Leather off of an internet group and got a couple of butt cuffs, if you will, the ammo cuffs for my two different rifles. I'm probably going to have to get another one because I had not planned to buy a 257 Weatherby Magnum. I'm not sure that the cartridge loops will work, but they're leather ammo cuffs. You put them on the stock of your rifle, and one will work. The 4570 will go on this new 4570 I just got, and then because the Ruger number 1 is a single shot, you're not going to be racking it and shooting fast, but you do need to have a supply of ammo handy, and I'm thinking that maybe the ammo cuff, on the butt stock is the way to go. If you have any experience, do you carry ammo, on the stock of your rifle in one of those carriers, whether it's one of those elastic ones or leather ones, I would love to know how that has worked for you. And he also makes cool rifle slings, Rhodesian slings. So anyway, just again, don't know Andy, but I like his products. They came in really nice and got a nice note from him, andysleather.com. So there you go. Oh, by the way, we're not doing an after show today, and now I can tell you why before he gets into the studio. Jim's going to run out, take this young man. Gavin, did you say he was 13, Jim? Yeah, he's 13 years old, Gavin is. And Jim met him when he was doing one of his musical gigs, and Gavin came up and sang. It was an open mic deal, and he's been there several times, and he's a real big fan of Ted Nugent. And our buddy Ted has agreed, because Jim called Ted and said, hey, got an idea, Ted is appearing in the area tonight. And in order to give Jim time for this to work, we're not going to do the after show. He's going to take young Gavin to the Ted Nugent concert. Gavin does know he's going there, but he has no idea that Ted's going to give him the full-bore backstage treatment, the whole thing. I dropped Ted a note, talked with him this week, and he said he's excited to do it. That's just cool. They're just, I'll just tell you, that's Jim. That's the kind of person he is, and it's the kind of person that Ted is. And a lot of people don't understand that about Ted. They only know that show business persona that he does, and he's got that thing going. But this is cool. Anyway, that's what we're doing. That's why we're not doing the after show today. But sometimes you just have to make allowances, okay? Just what we do. Let's see here. Chad, line 3, Medford, Oregon. Hey, Chad, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was just calling about the most recent rash of mass shootings. Once again, for the most part, we've got the California Gilroy was gun-free zone. They had actually metal detectors at the gates, which is the reason he had to cut the fence. The mall shooting, Walmart in Texas, they probably allow carry, but it was connected to the mall. Not a lot of reports of where everything went on there. Most malls prohibit carrying firearms. The Dayton shooting was at a bar, no guns in bars. Mainly, I'm fearing that, and actually hoping that American firearms owners are going to pull together kind of like we did after Sandy Hook and just say that we are not going to comply with anything that the governments try and pass. That's kind of been the name of the game in New York with the assault weapons registration, no compliance.
No kidding.
Even New Zealand, after they had their big mass shooting, it's not getting much play, but even people in New Zealand aren't complying.
And it's interesting you mentioned New Zealand, and one of the things that's not getting said was in this guy's manifesto down in New Zealand, one of the reasons he said he was doing this mass shooting was so that the United States would pass more gun control laws. You go, okay, that's weird, but it is right there. He says, I know that by going out and doing this mass shooting, the regular people who always call for more gun control laws will use that as leverage to try to get more restrictions on people who don't commit crimes. And to your point, and you're absolutely right, Chad, that these guys don't care about whatever law you pass. If you're willing to go commit murder, I don't think that a registration or a form or you're not 21 and allowed to buy or there's a waiting period, I really don't think they care about that. They're okay murdering people. So there's really no other law you can pass that has more penalties or more restrictions than we have on murder. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate that. Benny, Corpus Christi, Texas. On line 4. We got 1 minute. Benny, what'd you get?
Yeah, real quick, Tom. I hope you're having a great day. I called you, it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was just blowing over the M&P that I'd picked up, 2.0, 9mm, 3.6-inch barrel, but I didn't give entire credit where credit is due. Got in touch with Crossbreed Holsters right after picking up that M&P and got the Reckoning model of the inside the waistband holster to go with it. And, you've been telling people forever, if you don't have a real gun belt, get a real gun belt.
Yeah. Makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Getting a real gun belt makes all the difference in the world. I've got a couple of them.
It absolutely does. Look, we're running up against it. I appreciate that. If you don't have a real gun belt, it will change everything. You will be able to carry all day long in absolute comfort. Spend the money, get the real deal. 866-TALK-GUN. Got into a conversation this week. I got an email. This outfit was bragging that they got an email from somebody who said, hey, my daughter shot her first elk at 1,400 and something yards. And look, I get it. Long-range shooting is fun. Absolutely. But I really seriously have a problem with long-range hunting. And people say, well, hey, if you can make the shot, you can make the shot. Just because you can't make it, you go, no, that's not it. I'm not saying I can't make it. What I'm saying is you don't really understand what's going on here. First of all, animals are not targets. You have an obligation, if you're going to shoot an animal, to anchor it with one shot. If you're not 90% sure that you're going to be able to do that with the first shot, then you can't take the shot, according to me. But here's the thing. There is a matter of physics here that a lot of these target shooters are missing. You have the rest, you have the cool gun, you have everything, it's figured out, you got the wind doped in, everything's great, you pull the trigger. Time of flight. 1,400 yards, you're looking at about 2 seconds in the air. 1,001, 1,002. Elk takes 1 or 2 steps, moves 3, 4, 5 feet while the bullet's in the air. You have done everything perfectly, but that's something you can't control. Now you've got a gut shot elk or one with a broken leg or something. Are you going to go track that animal? Just 3/4 of a mile away. It might take you an hour to get to it depending on the terrain. Where is it when you get there? I think there's an ethical problem here. And I have a problem with using live animals as your targets in this case. And I am convinced, I do believe, that for every one of these that works perfectly on YouTube, there are a number of them where people have shot and either think they missed and they didn't, and they never go to check it out, or they actually do cripple something and it gets away. The opportunity is just too great for the random gust of wind. And look, if you're shooting at a big steel target, who cares? You missed it. You're shooting at a deer or an elk, something like that, and you gut shoot it, you shoot it in the hind leg, and it goes off to die a miserable death, gets pulled down by the coyotes or the wolves because of your ego, which is really what it's about. I have a problem with that. And I know people are going, oh, yeah, he doesn't get it. Okay. He's old-fashioned. He doesn't understand this is what we do now. Well, I understand it's what you do now. I just don't think you should. I just don't think it's ethical. To me, it's shooting, not hunting. And I love shooting. Don't get me wrong. I love shooting. But hunting is a test of, can I get close? Have I used my woodsman skills? Have I been able to call it in? Have I been able to maneuver my way around to get the wind right? Have I been able to get up and so I could shoot down at the right angle? Setting up a bench and scoping the hillside 3/4 of a mile away, and then using that as a target, to me, is not my personal view of hunting. And then when you throw in the whole inexactitude of time of flight, a gust of wind, and what can happen even if you do everything right, I just think it's wrong. And yes, I get it. People are going, oh, he just doesn't get it. He's wrong. He's a fud. Oh, don't you love that, the ultimate put down? He's a fud. Yeah. I may have a dozen ARs and I carry a polymer pistol, but that makes me a fud. I don't think so. Hey, when we come back, there is the most amazing, not giveaway, but it's a deal out there that you haven't heard of. When you hear about it, it's going to knock you out. Let me just tell you. 866-TALK-GUN. I'm Tom Gresham.